chaos. It's utter chaos. And they come and they go and they get added and they get taken off. It's frustrating. It's chaotic. It's very difficult. It's very concerning for a lot of people. One group that I never thought of that is worried they're going to get caught in the middle of all this too is fire departments, firefighters. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs is raising the alarms about how these actions and tariffs might affect what they do. How? We'll find out. Ken McMullen is the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, just from Red Deer, just down the road a piece. Ken, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so walk me through this here. It's the equipment that you're worried about, right? You're concerned that the critical equipment that you rely on to do the job may somehow get caught up in all of this?
Well, you're absolutely right. We knew before even any of these tariff conversations took place that fire services across this country are already having a challenge keeping up with the economic realities facing our industry. Now, with the addition of the tariffs, this is just taking it to a whole new level. We believe that between 80 and 90% of absolutely everything we use in the Canadian Fire Service comes out of the U.S. market. So if we even consider adding on additional tariffs, 25%, whatever the case may be, the impact is just absolutely it's mind-boggling.
Okay, so this isn't actions that the United States would be taking. This is actions that the Canadian government would be taking in retaliation. You would then be forced to pay the 25% tariff on whatever they might tariff coming out of the U.S.
Exactly. So there's conversations around a retaliatory tariff. There's conversations about what comes in from the United States into Canada. What I'm referring to is the 80 to 90% of all products that come into Canada are from the United States.
Okay, now I've taken a look at the list, and it's kind of targeted. I didn't see firefighting equipment, but I'll tell you, I didn't go all the way through it. I got stuck on chicken, to tell you the truth. I mean, is there things that you use, components, pieces, equipment that you rely on that are mentioned in the Canadian response at this point anyway?
Well, and that's the challenge, right? It's all up for interpretation, and we are as unclear as anybody else. But what we do know is things like the purchase of a fire truck. We have manufacturers already telling us that if the tariffs go through as already being proposed, it could increase the cost of a fire truck by $300,000. Now, that is something that, A, the municipality didn't plan for, and B, don't have the ability to pay for it when you're talking about that type of increase. It's already on the production line, ready to be delivered. But by the way, now we need another $300,000. Some of us are literally just going to walk away from that sale and say, okay, we're going to have to use the older equipment for another year.
And you make a great point in the release that you sent out. This comes at a really bad time. Like, fire departments are already, doing everything they can to try and make ends meet, right?
You're absolutely right. And like you said, I don't use this term very lightly or often, but we are literally staring down the barrel of the wildfire season gun, and we are not prepared for it.
Unbelievable. Have you had any communication with government? Are they aware of what's going on? Have they given any reassurances that they'll take steps to not get you caught up in this?
Well, I think like so many of us, we've been caught in a little bit of this this political absence, if I can use that term, in the sense that the association, we had very good ongoing conversations with many levels of government. We have advocated, I've been on your show before, Shaye, talking about the creation of a national fire administration. We are still in desperate need of that. We need to have a voice at the federal government level. We, as we just heard in your introductions, we are prepared. We are understanding that there will be a change of government, at least a leader, as of this weekend. And who knows when an election will be called. The fire chiefs, we are pragmatic. We are not political. We need to get our issues in front of those that are willing to work with the fire sector in Canada. And we're going to be right back on the telephone on Monday morning and writing letters on Monday morning to whoever the leader is to, again, talk about our concerns.
And as you say, you're pragmatic, and I'm sure you're looking into this. I mean, are there other places? Does it have to come through the United States? I'm sure. I mean, when we're talking, fire trucks and things like that, it's a very complicated conversation. But I mean, the other supplies and equipment, can you get it from anywhere else?
Right now, we are really under a bit of a concern because the equipment that we use all comes out of North America, and the adaptability of the equipment from one community to another is all based on a North American model. Yes, there's some wonderful apparatus that comes from other parts of the world. We're not sure how we would ever get it here. That's something we haven't considered in the past. Maybe some of the equipment that we use on our motor vehicle collision type of, we call them hydraulic cutters and spreaders, but you and your listeners will more commonly known of them as the jaws of life. Those are potentially manufactured in another in the past. Maybe some of the equipment that we use on our motor vehicle collision type of, we call them hydraulic cutters and spreaders, but you and your listeners will more commonly known of them as the jaws of life. Those are potentially manufactured in another part of the country, but do they meet the Canadian standards? Do they have the ULC and the CA standards that we use here in Canada? Those are questions that we haven't explored yet.
Yeah, what a mess. Keep us posted, will you? We'll follow this one along.
By all means. Well, thank you to you and your listeners. Do your best to stay safe and keep us out of your communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope we don't run into each other. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
As always, thanks so much.
Talk to you later. Ken McMullen, president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs.